Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Veda and this is The Simple Budget. Here on my channel, I show you how my family is using the zero-based budgeting method in order to get out of debt and simplify our financial life. If that sounds like content that you're interested in, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button and join our little crew here. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. Alrighty, so today's budget with me is going to be a little different. Typically, I fill this out with you guys. I write down all of my categories and my sinking funds and just kind of go over with you what our budget is for that month. But today I thought it would be a good idea to do an in-depth budget with me so that you can see kind of maybe how we come to the numbers that we come to, but then also how this then impacts the rest of our month. So I am going to go over, that's why all of the categories are already written out, because we are trying to save some time here today. I really don't want this to be like a 45-minute video. We will see if it is. If it is, I hope that you have a yummy drink and a delicious snack while you're watching this. You might need one anyway, so go ahead and pause it and then run and go get that stuff. Make yourself a cold brew or grab yourself like a yummy croissant or delicious cheese or something like that. And let's hang out for a while. So anyway, like I was saying, in the interest of sparing you some time, I did pre-write all of my categories in here. So we will go over my monthly budget overview. But then what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys how we break this down and decide what paycheck funds which categories. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right in. I'm going to go ahead and zoom you guys in. Make sure I'm in frame, because we all know I love to be out of frame, and then get to working here. Okay, so you'll notice I didn't zoom you in too much. That's mostly because these sheets are full. They're completely full. So I want to make sure that you're zoomed in enough to maybe kind of see what I'm doing and see the writing, but that you're not so zoomed in that I end up out of frame, because we all know it's going to happen at some point. Am I right? I mean, hopefully not. Hopefully I can stay in frame for this entire video. We shall see. Anyway, let's go ahead and just jump right in. So, I'm going to just jump in with my husband's pay, because his is completely and totally predictable. He is a salaried employee. He is paid bi-weekly, and his pay is always $3,843.45. So we will just go ahead and move that one down here as well. $3,843.45. Now, I don't know how closely you've paid attention in previous videos, previous budget with me's, but this has actually gone down a little bit. And the reason for that is because we figured out, based now on my paycheck, because we file jointly, we file taxes jointly. Sorry, I should use all of my words. We file taxes jointly. All of our income is merged together. And so that means that now more taxes have to be taken out of our pay every month. And because my husband is the primary breadwinner and makes the most money, it comes out of his pay. That's just how taxes work. I don't understand the tax system. None of us does. But this was just the recommendation based on the W-4 or W-2, whatever it is. And so this has gone down slightly every month to reflect my income. But you'll see that I don't know if you've also paid attention in previous videos, but we were pulling out like $125, or maybe it was like I think it was $250 a month in taxes. We no longer have to do that because now that tax money is being pulled from my husband's paycheck. So it all kind of comes out in the wash. So we didn't really lose money because we were pulling it and sinking funding it anyway. So now we don't have to do as much. For my pay, however, I am an hourly employee and I have different shifts, I have different numbers of shifts depending on where they fall during a pay period. Fortunately, I have a consistent work schedule, so I always am able to just look at the calendar and count how many shifts I'm going to have in a pay period. And so then we can kind of budget my pay based on that. So based on that, my first pay is projected to be around $910. And my second pay is projected to be around $756. First up is our mortgage, and that is the same every month at $2,475.88. Our water bill varies depending on the time of year and whether we're using our sprinklers, et cetera, et cetera. So we just put $130 at it every month in the hopes that that will cover our months where we're using tons of water. And then there's enough overage on the months where we're not to kind of sinking fund this particular transaction. Our life insurance is the same every single month at $42.06. Our car insurance is fluctuating on us, but it's going to be $107.38 this month. Jits is my husband and son. They do jujitsu, and that is $187.38 every month. Internet is $55.58 every month. Phone is $124. I think this is the last month we're paying this because I'm currently paying my phone down, and that's why our phone bill looks like this. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee real quick. So we went over the phone bill. Electric is another one that varies, but we put $200 toward it every single month. And the reason for that is because when it's super hot in the summertime and we use our air conditioner, we want to make sure that we are prepped for that. And so the best way to do that is to kind of average out what it costs every month based on your usage throughout the year and then just plan for that. My gym membership is $59 a month. And then subscriptions is $52.75. This one is a combination of like Netflix, Apple, because like for extra storage and the music, and HBO Max, I think is what we use that for. I think those are the three that we have. They come out at various times of the month, but we will break this down further as we get further into the budgeting. Pest control is a quarterly expense, but we budget $40 a month toward it. Then on to other like lifestyle expenses. Groceries gets $1,300 a month, which breaks down to, wouldn't that be nice if it was $130 a month? I think it's $325 on a weekly basis. Target gets $400 a month. Gas, we have been like budgeting $150 a month, but I think we're like a month ahead in gas. So this is car gas, like gasoline. So I lowered it to $130 a month. We are keeping the rollover in here. I don't cash pull for this because I use the Upside app where you can get cash back on every gas purchase. And so that referral code will be linked below if you're interested in using it. But we have so much rollover in it that I was like, I think we can start decreasing what we put toward gas every month. And so we went down to $130 this month just to see how that jump felt. We are keeping the rollover in here, however, for the increase in gas prices that we're seeing because summer is coming up and those gas companies, they just price gouge during the summertime. So we are keeping the rollover in the event that gas prices go up astronomically. And also we do have like a mini road trip vacation coming in August. And so we're just not moving that rollover. Anyway, did you need that explanation? Probably not, but here we find ourselves. Okay. Supplements is actually not being funded this month. I will go into, actually, I'll just explain to you now. So a couple of these categories will not be getting funding this month. And the reason for that is because this is the month of my husband's 40th birthday party. Because of that, some family quite unexpectedly said that they would be able to come into town for my husband's birthday party. And as a result of that, we had to shift up our budgeting plans a little bit because we want to make sure, like we live in Texas and none of our family does. And so one night while they're here, we want to take them for Texas barbecue because it's actually really delicious. And so what we've done is shifted around our plans a little bit and cut out some of these categories for funding that are, more like luxury or low priority, so to speak, so that we can accommodate extra money for just fun while some of our family is here. And so supplements was on the chopping block because we already had some like rollover in there, and now that it's becoming sunnier outside, I am less inclined to give my kids, this mostly just funds my kids' supplements. They get vitamin D in the winter. So now that it's spring-ish and it's mostly sunny here in Texas, they get outside, they get plenty of vitamin D. And so this was one that I was able to like just say, you know what, we're going to chuck it for this month because we're good to go with that. Household, we reduced a little bit and it will be getting $50 this month. And toiletries, we also reduced and it's getting $40 this month. But we feel confident that this is plenty given what we already have in the envelopes, and we don't have a lot of expenses coming up in these categories. So we felt good just funding it this much. So with all of that rambliness, let's go ahead and add this up, and then we will move on to our next category. Okay, so the total from this section for the entire month is $5,394.03. So let me just go ahead and write that down. Oh, frame check. Oh, I'm still in frame. And actually, you know what? I just realized I never added up my projected income for the month. So let me do that really quickly. Okay, so that was $9,352.90. And then when I subtract the bills and expenses category total, so $5,394.03, we are left with $3,958.87. So with that in mind, the next area that we move over to is actually sinking funds. The reason why we do this is because obviously, like, our debt is a super, super, super high priority to us. Paying it off is a very high priority. But these categories are things that we want to make sure are funded throughout the year so that it doesn't make it so that we accrue more debt because we've forgotten to factor this into our budget. But then also just to make sure that the money is there waiting for us and we are budgeting responsibly and all of those things. So that's why we move on to this first, to figure out what this is going to cost us before we can decide what extra money we're putting at debt. Now, our level of aggression toward debt is going to be different. Everybody's level of aggression toward their debt is going to be different. Obviously, if you have an overwhelming amount of debt and you're constantly living above your means, and you know, the potential for you to lose your job is really high, or just your job stability in general is kind of questionable, cutting out categories from your budget is super duper important. I would not encourage you to fund things in your life that don't help get you out of debt further. But these are things we feel comfortable diverting money or putting money toward, even though it's not going toward debt. And even though these are largely low priority categories in our lives, we still fund them because we feel relatively confident in my husband's job security. We feel relatively confident in my job security. And so, you know, and also we actually live quite below our means. And so we feel comfortable putting money toward all of these categories because of that, despite the fact that we have the amount of debt that we have. If you've not seen my debt confession, we started the year with just under $59,000 of debt. In my most recent debt update, I shared that we have just over $50,000 of debt now. So we did pay down a significant amount. We plan on continuing to be that aggressive with our debt. And so because we're able to be that aggressive with our debt, we are perfectly fine funding all of these categories, because we know even with putting money toward each of these things every single month, we're still able to pay down a significant portion of debt on a regular basis. So I'm sorry if that was like very preachy. I just want people to understand, if you're new to my channel, I'm not encouraging you to eat out or spend money on dates or clothes if you don't feel like you've got the wiggle room in your budget to do that and pay down your debt. But if you have the wiggle room to do both, you know, I know that that's against the wisdom of Dave Ramsey, but this is just my personal view of it. I view him as fantastic financial wisdom, and I am applying many of the principles that he believes in to my life, or to my financial life. But we're doing it this way because this is actually beneficial for us as well. So anyway, I'm so sorry. Very, very rambly today, evidently. Just doing a frame check. Okay. So first up, taxes is going to get $10 this month, and we are still funding this sinking fund because we do have to pay the accountant who prepares our taxes for us. And so even though we don't have to pull money for taxes anymore to make sure that we've got enough to pay the government, we still have to pay the person who prepares our taxes. And so that's what this is for. The HOA is finally getting funding this month. We wanted to sort out all of our taxes and stuff like that. And so next year, it will just be getting $10 a month to save up for the following year, because it's a 1 year, just an annual expense. But because we haven't been funding it since the beginning of the year when we paid, we're throwing a little bit of extra money at it to make sure that it's fully funded by January of next year, the end of January of next year. So it's getting $20. Car maintenance gets its usual $57, and home maintenance gets its usual $50. These are things that we really want to make sure, no matter what happens in our lives that month, we are putting money toward these things, because since we are new to cash stuffing and zero-based budgeting and responsible living, we don't have a lot of money saved up in these categories. So we really want to make sure that we're putting money toward these every single month, so that in the event of an emergency, we can contribute, you know, from these sinking funds, but and kind of help supplement our emergency fund that we have sitting in our bank right now. Same with medical. It's getting $50 this month. It usually gets $70, but we felt comfortable cutting it just a little bit to, you know, make sure that it was still getting a decent amount of funding, but also to accommodate the other needs in our budget this month. Clothes is getting $50. Home is not being funded this month. This is mostly just for home decor, completely superfluous and unnecessary when you're talking about, okay, we have to save up for this. What can we cut in order to accommodate that? Home decor is first on the chopping block. Haircuts is still getting $85. My husband's spending is 50, mine is 175. And dine out is getting 20 and miscellaneous is getting 5. We did cut that one down a little bit. I think we give it 15 usually, but we cut that down so that we could make up for other things. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Work food is another one that was on the chopping block. My husband was like, I can not eat out for work this month to accommodate our needs. Dates is getting 15. The finance coach is getting 5. And this is where the big one comes in. So family fun is getting $250. And that is in order to accommodate family coming into town and making sure that we have the money there where we can do some fun things out and about with the people who are coming to visit for my husband's 40th birthday party. This was the other big one. So home project, if you've been watching from the very beginning of, the start of my channel, home project has not gotten funded at all yet. However, I don't know if I mentioned it here on this channel, but I know I talked about it on Instagram. I actually was given a promotion at work, and with that promotion came a raise. And so what my husband and I said was, with my raise, we were going to set money aside to do certain home projects that we feel are high priority, in that we don't want to wait to pay down our debt in order to do them. Things like, for example, ceiling fans in my children's bedrooms, or in the other bedrooms in my house. My husband and I have a ceiling fan. Excuse me. Our living room has a ceiling fan. Our family room has a ceiling fan, but my kids' bedrooms don't have a ceiling fan. And between the combination of the Texas heat and the fact that our home builder was an absolute, just the worst home building company I've ever had the displeasure of working with. I don't feel like our air conditioning unit was installed well. And so like my daughter's room is really, really warm in the summertime, despite the air conditioning being on. It's a complete, actually, it's relevant to this conversation because, so we were going to use my raise money, my promotion and raise money, to fund different house projects like that. So our house doesn't have gutters. That's another one that we're going to be saving up for. So all of that to say, based on my raise and things, we were projecting that we would be able to put $350 toward our house project this month. Now, I know what you're saying. I know what you're thinking, because we also had to account for $250 toward family who was coming into town. So why didn't we just can the home project this month? Because it is completely superfluous in the grand scheme of things. Like, funding the rest of our budget is super important. Well, I will tell you why. The reason why is because we realized that we were coming up on the year anniversary of having this house built. And as I previously mentioned to you, our home builder is absolutely terrible. We've had quite a few pretty significant issues with them since the building of our home. And so what we are doing before our year warranty is up on our house is hiring an independent inspector to come and take a look at everything, create a list of issues that they see so that we can present that to our home builder and have them fixed while we're still in warranty. So this $350 that I got as a result of, or that we were able to put toward this as a result of my raise, actually has a pretty important purpose that we can't just negate for the month. So we had to really tighten everything else up. We're going to be putting less at debt. You'll see that. And then unfortunately, this $350 that we were hoping would be saved toward ceiling fans is now going to be going toward a home inspector to find things that are wrong with my house. So I am incredibly furious about the loss of this $350 towards something that I view as valuable. I understand that a home inspector looking for things that are wrong with your house is incredibly valuable, but I am frustrated that it was an expense that we have to pay because our home builder was so terrible. So if you are ever in the market to build a home and you see Lennar Homes as an option, run away as fast as you can. Do not use them. Do not patronize them. They're actually a terrible home building company. And with that, I digress. All right, I need to start breezing through this because I've already rambled for so long. So next up is vacation. It's getting $411. Gifts is getting $40 and Partay is getting $35. Back to school is getting $15. Valentine's is getting $5. Easter is going to be funded again finally, and it's getting $7 since Easter is this month. And let's see, Halloween is getting $13. Thanksgiving is getting $15. Christmas is getting $250, and the zoo is getting $16. So just really briefly, vacation and where is it at? Oh, Christmas. I actually have this on my Etsy shop where I have a special funding plan sheet where you can take things like your vacation, like if you're wanting to fund a vacation or you're wanting to make sure that you have enough money at Christmas time, however much money that is. And then you can kind of sit there and plan out, how you're going to fund those things every single month. I've already done this obviously off camera, which is why I know these specific numbers. So vacation had to get $411 this month. Christmas had to get $250. It just is what it is. Those numbers were non-negotiable. So because I had already spent the time doing that vacation funding plan, or the vacation funding plan and the Christmas funding plan, let me know if you guys are interested in seeing something like that so that you can see kind of how we broke that down. But that was how we arrived at these numbers. And so those were other areas where maybe we would have shaved off if we could have, but because I already had this plan laid out, we just kind of kept it like it was. So the total for this section was $1,999. And I forgot hold on, let me see. And that leaves us with a remainder of $1,959.87. So if you watched my most recent debt update, you will know that we are actually snowballing toward our largest balance, which is our Visa. And the reason for that is because we want to bring the balance below $20,000. So instead of going to our next smallest balance, which is actually our car, all of our extra money is going toward the Visa right now because of the high balance and the high interest rate. So our car payment is getting its usual $310.84. And then, so we'll subtract that $310.84. And so that leaves us with a remainder of $1,649.03. And that is going to go toward our Visa this month. So that is a zero-based budget. It means that you have a plan for every single dollar that comes into your house. And typically, this is where I leave off with this video, and thanks for hanging out with me, and blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm going to show you guys, and I'm going to try to do this quickly, without rambling too much, how we go about then deciding, okay, that's great that you're going to give yourself $175 this month, Veda, but when are you going to give yourself $175? How do you break that down? So you'll notice on here, I made sure to write out the dates for everything where it has a due date and it has to be funded by a certain date on the calendar. So I'll go ahead and just move this off to the side. Let me see. Let me just do a little frame check here. I'm gonna move my drink, take a sip of it. So I'll move this off to the side. I've already filled out the dates on the calendar. This calendar is in my Etsy shop, by the way. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead on the calendar and write when things need to be funded by. That's it. So because gym and mortgage both come out on the 1st, they're actually funded with the previous month's paycheck. So this is not a date we have to be concerned about. We just have to make sure that the gym is funded, the gym and the mortgage are funded at some point throughout the month, so that the money is available then on May 1st for when they'll come out. So that just means that we have to make sure that the rest of these bills are funded before their pay. So for example, since I am paid on the 5th, actually, no, scratch that. So water is due on the 11th, and that means that my pay has to fund this particular bill because there's no other money coming into our account between, my pay and the water bill being due on the 11th. The other bills, for example, like life insurance and car insurance have to be funded by money from, both of these paychecks. So my husband's first pay and my first pay can both contribute toward life and car insurance, but they have to be done between these two paychecks. Then the rest of our bills, so jujitsu and internet, phone, electric is an iffy one. Like we could fund it, we could kind of float it, but with this pay or before this pay, but jujitsu, internet, and phone absolutely have to be funded between my two paychecks and my husband's first paycheck. This one is negotiable, again, because gym and mortgage can kind of come out whenever because of the way that we structure it. They are funded from the previous month. So we do have kind of money floating in our account this entire time because we do make sure all of our bills money stays in our checking account. So, even if, for example, we were like, well, we're not going to put enough money toward electric with these other pays, it wouldn't matter too much because our gym and mortgage money is just kind of hanging out in our account, acting as a buffer before this would hit anyway. So because of the way that this is structured, and I'm just like, in full disclosure, obviously, like my husband and I have already come up with this plan. So I'm just going to show you based on this calendar, based on the way that this schedule works. Hopefully that explanation was not too confusing. I'm praying. If you have any questions, just ask. So based on this, this is how we then break down how or what paycheck is funding what throughout the month, based on like our knowledge of the dates that things have to come out. So I do have a cheat sheet off to the side that I will be using in order to, just make this as clean as possible. So as I mentioned before, mortgage and gym are actually kind of a month ahead. I mean, it's not really a month ahead, but they're funded from the previous month. So whatever money we put toward mortgage and gym this month is actually going toward May's payments, if that makes sense to you. So because of that, we don't have to fund these by a specific date. Water, however, if you remember, water is due on the 11th, so it has to be funded with my first paycheck. And that is exactly what we did. So where did it go? Okay, here we go. So water is going to be fully funded with my first paycheck. And then what I do is just put a line through the rest of the month because it's not being funded at all after this. And actually, you know what? I'm going to just start with each category because I do have the breakdown here and it will make more sense for you guys if you can kind of see how we lay it out. So, our mortgage, because it can kind of come out whenever it wants throughout the month because it's not being taken out until May 1st. The way that we broke it down is it's actually being funded with part of my husband's first pay. So $414.39. And then with his second pay, it's getting the rest of it. So it's $2,061.49. Excuse me. And then hold on here. Let me write. See, I forgot this. So my pay is projected to be $910. His first pay is, what did I say? Here we go. His first pay is $3,843.45. My second one is $756, and his again $3,843.45. Okay. So, because then you'll know, okay, well, now I have whatever 910 minus 130 is left to work with. Like, you've got your totals at the top so that you kind of know what's going to go on in each category. Next up is life insurance, and life insurance is due on the 17th. So that means that from either my first pay or my husband's first pay, it has to be funded. So I think we split it this month. Let me just double check on that. No, I lied to you. It's completely funded with my husband's first pay. So $42.06. And then I'll just draw lines through here indicating that it's been fully funded for the month with that pay. Car insurance is $107.38, and car insurance is due on the 19th. And that means that we need, between my pay, my first pay and my husband's first pay, it's going to have to get funded. So we did $11.38 from my first pay, and then $96 from my husband's first pay. And then it's fully funded at that point. Jiu-jitsu comes out, let's see, on the 25th. So it can be split in a variety of ways between my first and second pay and my husband's first pay. And sometimes we do that. Sometimes we'll like spread it out, or sometimes we're just like, you know what, we've got enough left over in this particular pay or whatever to do that. And so we actually did that this month with my husband's first pay. We just funded jiu-jitsu completely and entirely with that pay. It really, like, this whole thing is really completely, you know, up to you. You can tailor it however works for your particular budget, especially if, like, with certain sinking funds, you want to make sure that they get money every single week so that you've always got something there for whatever that purchase may be, say like household or toiletries. And so that's kind of what we really do is, we start with the things that have a due date, and then we'll go down to make sure that like sinking funds are being funded when we like to have them funded. And then we kind of maneuver around everything else, if that makes sense. And you'll kind of see that as we go down here. So internet is due on the 25th. So again, between my first and second pay and my husband's first pay, this can be funded. So, excuse me, goodness gracious. What we did was pulled it from my husband's first pay. So $55.58. and then just draw lines through to make sure there's no confusion. The phone bill is due on the 26th. Again, my first and second pay or my husband's pay could cover that. Just, depending on how you do your split. But we went ahead and put all 124 on my husband's first pay. He is the primary breadwinner and the biggest wage earner. And so that's why his paychecks bear the brunt of most of the funding in our family. That's how it shakes out. The electric bill is due on the 28th. And like I mentioned, we could kind of float this if we wanted to fund it completely on this day for whatever reason we can. But so it really could be split among all four paychecks if we wanted to. There's a lot of wiggle room with this one. That's not what we did. However, it again just comes completely from my husband's first pay. The gym, as I mentioned, is due on the 1st, but this is actually the funding for next month. So it's going to come out on May 1st. So this one has some flexibility to it as well. And we actually split this up between my two pays. So my first one, we put $30, and then my second one, we put $29. And that is funded for the month. And okay, so I think at this point, you guys kind of get the gist of how we do this. Like, we make sure that we are funding things that have due dates by their specific date, and then everything else kind of maneuvers around that. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill the rest of this out, speed you guys through that, and then we'll move on. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Obviously, when you're working on a budget plan like this for yourself or a funding plan, it's very involved, or it can be very involved to kind of like figure out where you're going to place funds and when and all of that kind of stuff. But don't be put off by this, because the work that you put into something like this comes back to you tenfold, making sure that you have all of the money that you need where and when you need it, is just so incredibly freeing. And also, I would just say my budget is probably a little bit more complex than some people, just because of the fact that, we're a family and we factor all kinds of stuff into the equation as far as like, our expenses and sinking funds and things like that are concerned. But it really doesn't take us very long to sort all of this stuff out. So, it's not that much work for a huge, huge payoff. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you made it to the end of this video, you're an absolute hero. Just an absolute hero. And actually, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. So the last giveaway that I did, one of the giveaway winners did not reply to me. So I still have a prize waiting for to be used. So what I'm going to do is, if you make it to the end of this video, go ahead and leave a heart, a black heart down below. And then I will choose a winner from all of the black heart comments to win the budget binder and 5 envelopes from Minimalistic Budget. She's over on Instagram and she's absolutely fabulous. Her products are absolutely fabulous. So that's what I'm gonna do. If you made it to the end of this video, you are a superhero. And yeah, I want you to be able to, I wanna thank you for making it to the end of this very, very long-winded video. So leave a black heart below. Obviously, I'm going to say that you have to be subscribed to my channel in order to win. But if you are publicly subscribed to my channel and you leave a black heart below, I will choose from those folks in my own time. I'll just say like another week or so. I'll give it a week. Who will win the remaining budget binder and 5 envelopes from Minimalistic Budget. So that's it. So if you're a champ and you stuck with me to the end, that will be your prize. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in to my video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or if you found it helpful or whatever. If you just like hanging out with me, that's fun too. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I love the community we have here. And then I will see you guys in my next video for the first April cash stuffing, which will, is the result of all of this work. All right. Bye, everyone.